Hi friends, let's solve a case study on vanilla swaps. See here, in the problem, what is the you have been given this whole structure. Now, what is this structure? This is the borrowing costs structure. This is one firm ABC. This is one bank XYZ, and these are the rates given. Fixed USD for firm it is 6%. For bank it is 4.5. Floating USD firm it is LIBOR plus 1. Bank it is LIBOR. Fixed CHF firm 4%, La bank 3.5%. Now, based on this, you have been asked certain questions. Now, first question is, the firm and the bank can achieve the total gain by doing a plain vanilla coupon swap, means fixed USD against floating USD borrowing of what? Now, remember one important point. Swapping or vanilla swapping means comparative advantage. This word is very much important. Now, what is comparative advantage? Suppose you are working in this bank XYZ and you are getting fixed USD at 4.5% while the other customers, means market, is getting at 6%. Then again you are getting floating USD at LIBOR rate and other customers are getting at LIBOR plus 1. Now suppose if you are having $100, where should you invest? Fixed USD or floating USD? Now logically you might say anywhere. But see here, important part is here you are getting an advantage of 1.5% from the market, and here you are getting an advantage of 1% from the market. So if I am a true businessman, I'll definitely look at maximum advantage. So comparative advantage of mine is in fixed USD. So for a bank, if I have $100, I'll invest whole $100 in 4.5%, means fixed USD. Suppose if I am working in the bank in this firm ABC, again the same difference, 6 and 4.5, means I am getting at 6 and some bank is getting at 4.5, and we can exchange it later. Then I am getting this floating USD at 1 LIBOR plus 1 and bank is getting at LIBOR. So which, if I am working in the firm, what should I purchase? See here, in this the firm doesn't have any advantage, but it has lesser disadvantage. Remember this word, lesser disadvantage means comparative advantage. Here if it purchases, it has a loss of 1.5%. Here if it purchases, it has a loss of 1% from the bank. So lesser disadvantages in floating USD. So if I am working in this firm, I'll try to minimize my losses. So I'll purchase this floating USD. So this is the meaning of comparative advantage. Same thing is given over here. Sure, bank will be borrowing at means fixed USD, so that it gets a comparative advantage of 1.5, and firm would be borrowing a floating USD because it gets a comparative disadvantage of 1%. So it is lesser as compared to this fixed. So what will they do? In this, the bank will gain 1.5 and firm will lose 1%. Now if they mutually exchange with each other, what will happen? The net difference plus 1.5 minus 1, so net gain would be 0.5% for both combined, if they act combinedly, in that case only. In forex market, many a times the firms and the banks act as a partners rather than the customer and the bank, so that in certain areas the firm has an advantage, in certain areas bank has an advantage. So the gain over here is 0.5. Let's move to the next question, you will understand it better. The firm desires fixed rate funding in dollars. The bank desires Swiss franc funding. Both can achieve the lower borrowing cost by, now what? See here, firm desires fixed rate USD funding. So who has the advantage in USD? Firm or a bank? 1.5, bank has maximum advantage. And in CHF, 4 and 3.5, so 0.5. Bank has lesser advantage in CHF and more advantages in USD. So bank will try to do whatever, wherever it has maximum advantage. So it will buy fixed USD and then firm will buy fixed CHF. You can read this by pausing the video, and the net gains would be 1.5 plus and 0.5 minus. So let's move on to the next question. The next question is, in the above question means what? The fixed USD and CHF question. What would be the effective cost of borrowing for the firm and the bank, provided the gains from the swap, if any, are divided equally? Remember this, the gains which both of them get are divided equally. Then we have to find out the cost. Now let's solve this. In CHF, firm has borrowed at 4% and bank could have borrowed at 3.5%. So 0.5% bank had an advantage and firm has a disadvantage, but that is only of 0.5. And in fixed USD, firm could can borrow at 6% and bank at 4.5%. So if there wouldn't have been any swap, then firm would have borrowed at 6% and bank at 4.5. So bank has an advantage of 1.5% over here. Now what happens is bank should borrow USD. It's okay, we have done it earlier. So it has an advantage of 1.5. Firm borrows CHF, it has advantage of 0.5. So when they swap with each other, because they need these things. Sir, if you see the question again, question number 2, the firm desires fixed rate funding. So it requires fixed rate and bank requires Swiss franc funding. Bank has borrowed fixed USDs, but it is required by the firm. Firm has borrowed francs, but it is required by the bank. So what will they do? They will exchange with each other. Now exchanging will what will be the net effect? Bank has an advantage of USD 1.5%. Firm has a disadvantage of 0.5 in CHF. So the net effect would be 1.5 minus 0.5. So the net effect would be gain of 1%. Now what is given in this question? That the gains are distributed equally, means 0.5% each. So what will be the net gain to each of the firm? Remember this part, united we stand, divided we fall. If without swap the firm would have borrowed USD at what rate? Because here what is the question given number 2? That firm requires fixed USD. So in that case at what rate would the firm had borrowed? Let's check that. It would have borrowed at 6% because fixed USD for firm is 6%. Now the firm's gain from the swap, this 0.5% is divided. So firm would get 0.5% is the advantage to the firm because of this mutual swapping. So it will buy at 5.5%. It has got an advantage or profit of 0.5%. Now similar is the case with the bank. Without swap the bank would have borrowed CHF at 3.5%, right? See this 3.5%. Now what happens is again the bank has also gained 0.5% from the swap because these are mutually distributed. So 0.5% comes to the bank. So what would the rate of the bank be now? 3.5 minus 0.5, it comes to 3%. So mutually both have gained, bank and the firm. They have both lowered their cost by 0.5%. That is the advantage of vanilla swaps. In a plain vanilla coupon swap, the floating payment is, all these options are given. Remember, set in advance and paid in arrears. What is the logic behind this? Set in advance means the rates are first only fixed and then they are paid once the transaction is done. That is the meaning of arrears. In a callable coupon swap, you can read the options given. The correct answer is the fixed rate player has the option to terminate the swap before maturity. Remember, the meaning of callable is someone is able to terminate. Now who is this someone? The fixed rate player, because he is at the advantage part. So always the fixed rate player has the option to terminate the swap before maturity. Can you think of any example over here? Whenever you give any term loan to any customer, then the customer has a right to terminate it before. Means if he has got money he can repay it. But you as a bank can't tell the customer to pay early unless and until he is NPA. If he is a regular customer, then you can't tell the customer to prepay this term loan. In CC you can. So that is the meaning of callable coupon swap. Basically term loans are callable coupon swaps on the part for customers as such. You can't call it back. Customers can call it back. Download this YogaGuru app from Play Store to get these videos, online tests, question banks, new job openings directly on your mobile. You can also get the 500 plus question banks with simulation exercises with explanations directly on your PC. This is a separate version than the app version. That is a paid version. So WhatsApp us on this number for any query related to purchases. Keep studying.